So children are breaking from school to return home for the holidays, albeit with some protestations from parents who are saying, how are we going to feed our children? But it has it has to happen because the schools cannot keep the children for the entire year, and as parents we have a responsibility to nurture and disciple our children. And so as our children get into holidays, we are going to talk about how as parents we can be effective in parenting them. It is a crucial time. Yes, some of the schools have broken early for holidays, but it means that we have more time with our children to disciple them, to nurture them, to instruct them in the way that they should go, so that when they grow up, they will not depart from it. My name is Bruno Edgard, and you are watching Issues at Hand on Church of Uganda Family TV. And yes, if you are a parent out there, if you are an aspiring parent, this episode is for you, as you are going to receive some jabs, but also some enlightenment on how to be a better parent for our children. And my guest today on Issues at Hand is Dr. Hanifa Namala Sengendo, and she is the CEO of a Stepping Stone platform. She's also a pediatrician and an adolescent health expert, especially focusing on teen health. Yes, parents out there, we know that sometimes it's hard to instruct our teenagers. Maybe she is going to give us tips on how to handle teenagers and on how to be effective parents during the holidays. Welcome to Issues at Hand.
Thank you very much, Church of Uganda Family TV. I'm not really a guest, I'm a family member here because yes, we run several programs, especially health related programs.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome once again to home, and thank you for visiting, for being a good family member who visits on an often basis. Now, before we get into the discussion on parenting, enlighten us, for those of us who may not know, who are watching Church of Uganda Family TV for the first time. What does a Stepping Stone platform do?
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Hanifa Namala Sengendo. I am a pediatrician and teen expert. I run a platform called Stepping Stone Platform. This is a hub of distinction. We offer knowledge and skills to teenagers. And people may be wondering, how is this related to health? The definition of health means that if you are to raise a child who is purposeful and gets results out of him, the child must be healthy. It means the body, physical, the thinking, emotional, the social, the people they relate with, they all must be well. So, Stepping Stone is about grooming teenagers, teaching them about their bodies, sexuality and reproductive health, and we provide age appropriate. You hear these days, the major problem is that everyone just says whatever they think. But we give age appropriate, depending on age. We tell them information about their reproductive health. We also put into the issue of life skills. Many children these days get problems because they lack simple life skills that can help them survive this world that is now very complex and volatile. And we also put in career guidance because they are in school, they need to know. You have seen bright children who don't make it just because they lack someone to speak to professionally. So that is the Stepping Stone platform, which I'm the CEO, and yes.
And we are going to get into what Stepping Stone does, especially when it comes to things like boot camps for children. And we are going to get to know more about it. But on this conversation of effective parenting during holidays, it is very critical because we remember the scenario that happened when one of the famous musicians here in Uganda went and performed at a school and scandalized a lot of parents, and the schools was the parents were blaming the schools, saying that schools, you should not allow such artists to come and perform at schools. But the schools reiterated by saying, look, it's you we don't know where these children learn these songs from, where they learn these dance moves from. It's not from our schools, it's from home. So it's upon you as parents that when these children are home, that you monitor what they are learning when it comes to music and other fields of life. So that's why the discussion is big, because as we have these things happening in our society and children are returning home for holidays, we want to know what's the best way as parents when it comes to parenting these children, so that when they go back to school, they can be well groomed and they can be purposeful. Now, take us through some of the ways when it comes to being effective in parenting during school holidays. For example, you've been mentioning something about habits of intentional parenting.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yes, first of all, I should say that I'm here in the professional capacity of an expert, but I'm also a parent, not just a parent, a senior parent, because I have children, biological and non-biological. You know, we have extended families.
Definitely.
So I'm using my personal experience, but also putting in the health perspective. I should tell you that for us to, at the Stepping Stone, we have come up with what we call habits of intentional parenting. The word intentional means you have to intend, you have to plan, but you also have to act. Because intentional parenting is about saying, I will. So what I'm saying, I as a parent, as a mother, as a father, as an aunt, because parenting is guardianship. So if you are an aunt with a child at home, irrespective of age, by the way, we should be intentional in the way we are parenting. Because why? We should even be more intentional, because now the world is more complex. The risk is so much. The technology is flying all over. You don't have control over that. The children, by the way, have you noted that our children seem to grow faster than before? You find a 7-year-old. There is a parent who called me about 2 weeks ago. 7-year-old girl had got her periods. She had started her menses. The parent was terrified, and so all the complexity that is now around parenting, we cannot be doing things the same way. So that's why at the Stepping Stone, in our intentional parenting curriculum, we've come up with what we call habits of intentional parenting. There are several, but I'll give the low-hanging fruits. Now that students are in holiday, one of the habits that I call habit number 1 is for us to have a continuous relationship with our children, irrespective of age. The continuous relationship means have quality time with your children. Let me tell you, the children are at home, but do you know there are parents who have not seen their child since the child broke off for holiday, maybe last week? The driver picked the child, maybe the child is 14. The driver picked the child, maybe the parent was in a workshop, maybe the parent is the type who wakes up at 5 and goes to work, comes back at midday when children are what? Are sleeping. So all the time, they are just, you know, they have not seen each other. They're being too busy. You know a disease, TB, too busy. You know a disease called the TB, akafuba in Uganda? That disease is very deadly. But parents have gotten it through their work. We need to find a way of creating quality time with our children. That is the only way we are going to have a relationship.
But doctor, how can we do that? Because I understand why parents are doing that. We find ourselves in an inflation, in an economic crisis, and we are trying to take care of our children.
I totally agree. How come you get time to go for a wedding? How come you get time to go for a party, have tea with someone, even be on your WhatsApp? Why don't you say that since my child is at home, when I enter my home, at least for the next 30 minutes, let me sit with my children? How can you get quality time? You can eat together. You know, there are certain old practices that we need to bring back. For example, we used to have family meals. Where are those things? A family meal is just about 15 minutes. Are you the quality time you can create? You sit with your children, you eat, you even see the way they are eating. You even see the way they are looking. Probably they have cut the hair. Probably he has even a disease. Probably you see him, he's gloomy, and it is an opportunity to say, Hanifa, what is happening to you? Then he will say, Mommy, I have, I'm itching somewhere. But now you don't have that time. The child will tell someone that some part is itching, and that someone might be a wrong person. Because someone will say, let me see what is itching, and you never know what happens. So one of the habits, my dear parents, we are all too busy. I cannot be here and say, parents, stop working. No, create. That's why I'm saying create that time.
And talking about the practicality of that, in terms of having a continued relationship with our children. Now, I want to defend some of the parents who might be from the older generation.
As the baby boomers.
Where there are some parents who are not really, especially the way they have been trained by their parents, that for them they have been trained, especially for fathers, and this is something that I've seen is a gap for fathers. You have been trained to be protectors and to be providers. That as long as there's food in the house, that as long as there's school fees, you are doing your job. So how can we adjust to become the type of parents who spend quality time with our children?
Let me tell you, my dear, this is issues at hand. It is a real problem. Do you think, because you see, those things are very important. The food, the fees, the clothing. But what is required? That's why I'm saying that the habits that we have to pick, yes, they are really important. But this child needs more than that. The stage, scientifically, we know that, for example, when children are teenagers, their part of the brain that uses emotional is more active than the intellectual part of the brain. Intellectual is the thinking power, meaning that for them they do things without even thinking very much. That's why you ask, how did he do such a thing? How did they strike just because they were not allowed to have prom clothes? It is because the emotion, we go. There are no clothes, we go. That's why they take drugs. My friend takes them and he's saying he's a power. We go, let's go and take drugs. Let me dress like so and so. It is because the emotional part is overriding. So as a parent, yes, provide those tangible materialistic things. But now in this era of technology, the fourth industrial revolution requires us, that is actually one of the habits we should even develop. You have to be a digital citizen, a digital parent. Gone are the days when you see the parent, you say, I don't understand anything on the phone. We know, for example, children are using a new curriculum, the CBC, the competence-based curriculum. They are required to be on phone. So as a parent, how do you even help your child to be safe on the phone? You may not know everything, but you need to put intentionally. You may put some rules about the phone. Personally, I have teenagers in my own house, but there are certain rules. For example, I say, after prayers of 7, I need to see phones at a certain point. Unless if you are doing work, you do work from where it is not very secretive at a point in time. What are you doing with your phone at night? Simple rules. But you cannot say, my child never touches a phone. I can't. Our days, we used to open books and you would even remove dust. Manya, you are researching. Research now is Google. And I will not say that, why are you researching on phone? Go and get books. You will not be a digital parent. So the other habit is a parent to be interested in some of the technology that is moving around. If my child says, I have a Google meeting, I don't have to know everything about the Google meeting, but I should be able to know that he's actually in the meeting, in class.
That's what I was about to ask. Where is the red line then between monitoring our children and what they're doing on digital spaces and giving them privacy about, because of course as a human being they also have a right to their privacy, to not be hounding them all the time. What are you watching? What are you doing with the phone? How do we ensure that
by the boundaries? Yeah, but by the way, there is what they also call over-parenting, and this also creates conflict. I mean, I can't be all the time. Let me see, what are you checking? No. That is why during the other time when you are creating quality time, you can get time and teach your child the conduct and the content that is harmful. Some of these stories probably the students have not seen them. We know that, yes, we cannot do away with the phone, but you have to tell your child, you sit with your child and tell him that, you know what, this phone has rewards and risks. You the parent, not now the teacher. Some parents say, the teachers will tell him. No, you the parent, sit with your child and say, you see this particular phone, you are going to see things popping up. Pornography pops up. People who are dressed anyhowly. But the values you teach your child, what content, you be strict and say, my dear, you have this phone, but I don't expect you from our values to be watching ABCD. There are sites that are dangerous. How will you know those sites if you are not interested in digital spaces? So the parents saying that, me, I don't know anything about digital, then that is a very, very bad expression. That's very dangerous. We shouldn't over-parent. We shouldn't over... I don't know. We need to give them space. Police. You are not by the way, when you are police, then you will not have a quality time. Because they will do things when you are not there, and then other things when you are there. Yes, they always do it, but if you create a conducive environment, we shouldn't be shouting at children all the time. Yes, they may be wrong, but especially when they are getting into the teenage age, they are discovering themselves, and then you are the type of parent who never even laugh. Do you know there are parents who never laugh? They're always serious. Very serious. Pa, 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 pa. Create quality time where you get some fun. During that fun time, the family meal time, the family meetings, you know, during that time, you put in your values. By the way, we shouldn't be dressing when probably any above knee. Meanwhile, you are laughing it off. You see, there was this musician who did this. I don't expect that from you. What is your view? Then they will say, Mom, it is cool. Then you put in your things. Yes, it might be cool, but it's not our family value. You can only do that if you have created time. If you enter your home and you are entering like, hey, how are you children? I had a parent at the stepping stone. The children put food at the doorstep because she enters like this into her room, into the bedroom. She's on Zoom, she's on laptop, she's on whatever. They bring food, even greeting. They tell, Mommy, good evening, good evening. So there is no relationship. The parent came complaining that, you see, my children do not respect me. They don't love me. They entered my stepping stone center when both of them were on phone. The parent continued on phone. It showed that she has not created any time with the child. Now she's complaining and you are blaming the child. So let's have quality time. Let us be digital. But also, my dear, I think because of the health changes that are all happening, the other habit, we've so far talked to being a digital parent, having a continual relationship, but we also, you see, insurance. I was wondering why they usually stop us for third party. You know why we insure our cars? In case problems happen. So in case something goes wrong. There's someone who will cover. Even with intentional parenting, we need to insure our children with technical backstops. You know, backstop. Like you have, what do they call these chargers that power, where power goes off, what? A power bank. Let us have a technical backstop where we can have people whom to ask particular things, technical people. For example, children have a lot of questions on menstruation. But you, a parent, you are giving wrong answers. Yet you do not have people like us whom you can say, go to Dr. Hanifa, go to so and so, and I give that scientific explanation. Because after all, the child may use the phone. So you have to remain relevant. Otherwise, if you give a wrong answer, the child will check the phone and they will, hey, actually, mommy is not knowledgeable, daddy. Do you know you have made yourself irrelevant? insure your child with the people who have probably extra knowledge in health. It is very important because most of these things, I relate pornography with health. I say when you do this, there is a problem. You've seen children sent away from schools because of homosexuality, because of masturbation. They say, I'm going to help myself. So I tell this boy, how does helping yourself affect your brain, affect you health-wise, that you don't even reach your career? You want to be a doctor, but if you keep doing these things, there is a way they affect you health-wise. So let parents look for people like us. So at the Stepping Stone, these are some of the things we do. You see how unique we are. So during this parenting, parents look for people who have extra knowledge, not only through seniority in parenting, but health. Because our children need health perspectives into their bodies. Otherwise, we are raising children who are bright but not healthy.
That is true.
They get marks, they score the A's, but then you find the child is doing bad stuff, they end up having even ailments like HIV. HIV is still there. And it's the age group that is actually driving the young people are driving, 18 to 24, they are driving the epidemic, the new infections.
And to that point, by the way, now we are entering hot conversation. And by the way, if you want to get in touch with us, please, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 0787 447 0787 447 and you can get in touch with us and send us a comment or a question if you have. On that issue of sex education and sexual health, this is a very sore and difficult subject because many parents don't know how to have these conversations with their children, because like you've mentioned, it's good to have an expert out there who, as a parent, you can turn the child towards. But is there a way, a safe way, and maybe an embarrassing, a way that's not embarrassing for parents to have these conversations like sexual education with our children?
Okay, now you've made it better. We do not really teach sex education to children, but sexual health. Sex education is for bigger people, the real sex issues. But sexuality is about all these other things. Yes, the feelings. You know, children have feelings. They get annoyed. The age for teenagers, they get attracted to opposite sex. And it's normal. It's scientific, like you get hungry. So sexual health or sexuality education is about looking at this child growing up, having feelings. It's a whole life cycle, from even when the baby is in this. I was going to say stomach because that's what you people say. The baby is in the womb, yes, but you know usually they say stomach.
I don't know why. We all need education then.
Yes. So sexual health or sexuality education is the whole way you are teaching about the feelings, the relationships, right from when the baby is in the womb up to when you grow up. So it's not the sex education. So sexuality education is very important. Do you know why children are actually somehow misbehaving? They don't know productive relationships. And these are some of the things we teach students. Through teaching them simple life skills, how do you identify a good and bad friend? What are those few things you can say, oh, this one is not a good friend? Even if he's saying, yeah, I am there. You know, they have names. I was in a certain school, there is a group, Manya Big Five. They are the rebellious group in the school. Yes.
Every school has that group.
Then the girls, Manya Smile for us, the slayers of what? Something like that. So you need to teach those few skills. So we have gone through those habits. But my dear parents, I think the last simple habit we should pick is, as children grow, we should develop a certain level of respect and avoid bias. You know, yes, these children are wrong. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not here to just say that the children are right. No. I said I'm also senior parent and my teens are there watching because I told them I was coming here. But we need to develop a certain degree of respect and avoid bias, you know, because as children grow, they need to see that we do what we are talking about. There are parents who totally disrespect their children. They don't give any benefit of, I mean, they don't give any feeling that this child is right, you know. I'll give my personal feeling. I have my son, so I just went back home and I said, you know, during holiday, I said, you know, tomorrow you are packing your clothes, you are going, for us we do Quran memorization. So I said, you are going to go and memorize the Quran tomorrow. You know what he said? But mommy, we haven't discussed. He said, mommy, I have not talked to you. You have not really discussed with me, so I am not going. So you imagine those other days if... Chiboko kabisa. Who are you to respond to me? Yes. You know, I took a breather. I'm like, I am not going. So I'm like, okay. We got a time. I said, okay, now Sharif, come. This. So we agreed. I also died a little. I didn't take him the following day, but we came to a compromised date. He was saying Friday, I was saying Monday. So we said, okay, let me go on Wednesday. Let's go on Wednesday. So you see, gone are those days, my dear parents, see, reviewing us. When you are totally right, 99.99% as a parent.
But you see, how can we change that mindset? Because many of us grew up like that, where our parents are the law. What they say is what you do. You cannot talk back and say, I don't want to go.
But by the way, the other habit is for you to remain an authority in your home. You have to remain an authority, but then you have to give a certain degree of respect.
So how do you strike that balance?
You have to strike it, but you are saying, did you grow with your smartphone? When you were, but how come now you know to use the smartphone? Did you grow, I mean, like, for example, you know, knowing all these social media handles, how come you learnt them? We as parents, the other habit, now you are taking me into almost 7 habits. The other habit for us as parents in intentional parenting is to learn to unlearn and also learn to learn. There are certain things that we should totally say that we need to bend low a bit. We cannot be always right. Like, you know, we grew, your father was always what?
Always right.
Or I keep telling my teens that, you know, if I am wrong, get a good time and say, but mommy, here you were not right. And I do apologize, by the way. Apologizing doesn't make me not a mother. If I say I am sorry, am I not mommy in the home? That is the other habit. If I say I'm sorry, will that remove my being Dr. Hanifa mommy or something? Does it?
No, it does not.
It does not. So we need to find out of learning and unlearning. Let's not get stuck onto old words. Intentional parenting requires you to learn and unlearn, but also learn to learn. These kids know things.
That's true. And on that point of saying sorry, by the way, I was watching a talk show last night, and there were women talking about the difference between parenting now and parenting then. And they were saying one of the ladies gave her experience, saying that when she was young, her mother used to beat her because she refused to say sorry to someone she had wronged. So the same thing happened to her when she was a mother, but because she has changed her style from beating, her child refused to say sorry to someone the child had wronged, but she didn't beat her. She found another way of punishing her. But the point she was making is that the child cannot learn to say sorry until they see the parent say sorry.
That is what I'm telling you. That is what I'm telling you. Because I've said, you have entered, you said, Dr. Hanifa, I want to consult with you. You come to my office with a child. You are entering my office. You are on phone. You are even there. You said, oh, good morning. Then you are, excuse yourself. The child will know that. That is, you are teaching your child. But then you are saying the child is not respecting me. He's taking the phone as the what? As the friend or as a parent. That was the complaint. But you are showing me that the phone is your best what? Friend.
So the child is learning it from the
child
parent.
is learning it from the parent. And you are then complaining. So let us be role models. Let us be role models. Learn to unlearn. That one I'm really stressing it. We had a family meeting, and I'm sure as they are watching, they know. So one of my older sons said, the mommy of long ago is not the mommy
of today.
Of today. Then they would say, how would you probably ask mommy for, or do like this, or tell mommy that, mommy, please, I'm tired, can I do this later, or something like that.
Those emojis, the hard ones back in the day.
So now he was saying that, that's Shabman, he was saying that, you people, you are very lucky. Mommy of long ago is not, but meanwhile they were talking about me. So I was like, I have to move with the way things are moving. It doesn't mean I no longer have the authority. I do. But I have boundaries. I know we can have fun. I know we can instill values, but we have to get to know these habits. And these are some of the things why I actually organize boot camps. You were talking about
before we get to the boot camps. That point of disciplining children. Now, like you rightly mentioned, things have changed. The way we were caned or we used to beat our children when we were young is not the same way we're going to parent now. So how can we, especially when you speak about respect and then being authoritative, how can we find that balance? When a child does something wrong, what is the best way of, if I should say, punishment? Because the Bible is clear. It says, spare the rod, spoil the child.
I think, I keep, as I said, I keep referring to my personal experience, because I'm not here just to give the textbook way of doing things. From my personal experience, I have my 8-year-old son. He was telling me that at school they teach them 7 habits of the week. And they picked that from the Effective Leadership by Steve, is Steve Cowell? You should be reading those books.
I will.
You read 7 Habits of Effective Leadership, something like that. So he was telling me that, Mommy, there is a habit they say, seek to understand before you are understood. Seek to understand. I think as parents, we should try to understand. We should try to have time. Amidst the time when you are even so high, the children can really annoy us. I don't say they don't. The children really reach us to the nerve, if I may use the word. But these days, because children, it's not just, it can't be the same parenting, first of all, I've mentioned, the complete and whatever. But let us seek to understand before we are understood. Sometimes you come with your stress and you are like, am I not your mother? Yes, I appreciate you are my mother, but listen, probably I didn't really wash these utensils, and sometimes they are lying, surely, but you can know a child who is lying. We need sort of to give an understanding environment. Yes, they may be wrong. They may lie today. They can't lie all throughout. I mean, you can understand when they are lying. But let's also try to understand them. That probably, that's why I said understand, avoid bias and understand them. When they are wrong, tell them you are actually wrong. But also, don't just jump to conclusions. Don't just jump to conclusions. So the other day I found my daughter. I had left her with the assignment. Actually, it was a stepping stone assignment. I had told her to compile for me the list of parents who had confirmed to be mentored through the stepping stone. I found she hadn't done anything. Then I noticed she had almost slept the whole day. Now I came with all my energy. I'm like, how many parents have you called or whatever? She's there, she looked drowsy and whatever. So I'm like, what is happening? How come you haven't? Then she said, Mommy, you should also have asked, why didn't I do the work properly? Because even when you see I am really sick. So I'm like, you know, why didn't you? She's like, Mommy, I've had very bad menstrual cramps. And indeed, just after that, I saw the pain and the things that came with the cramps. So understanding is very important. Here I came with all the energy of, you know, why haven't you called the parents? So let's also try to understand, but remain authoritative.
So when a child is wrong, what's the best way of, I don't want to use the word punishment, but because it's a heavy word, but what's the best way of punishing the child?
Of punishing.
Especially there are many children who are rowdy. If they don't get punished, they might think it's
I think the punishments, the punishments, we should, that's why I said when you remain authoritative, children should know that there are risks that are involved with not obeying the home rules, or with not obeying the values of the home. For example, me sometimes I remove privileges. Some privileges, I see there, you've not done this, there is there is football of who and who. I think most of my kids are Man U. Then there is one of Liverpool. Then my husband is Fulham. So then you say that now you are not going to watch this football. You remove some privileges. Do you know those things are very painful?
Yeah, they are.
My husband is a teacher at SAS College School, but he has found a very good way of punishing. Do you know, if it is a girl, he tells them, remove your socks, remove your shoes, and move around the compound. Do you know how girls feel? So to step in the air, they feel so, it's a way of punishment. It's not the boxing, but she feels them. Then he tells boys, remove your shirt. He tells them to remove their shirts. You know, these are some of the things you can remove privileges. Privileges, like for example, you can remove watching a nice movie they are watching, or football, or certain things. Like for example, I may say that if they want a nice meal or were supposed to go out for something, I say, you know, some people have misbehaved, have cancelled that, whatever. Beating is very controversial. The actual beating. Yesterday at the Stepping Stone platform parents
we'll have
group.
to put a pin on that, Dr. Hanifa, because of time.
Yes, yes,
but
sure.
we shall continue with that and more, because you're going to tell us about whether beating is something we should still do. Plus, when it comes to the subject of unlearning and relearning as parents, we are going to get into learning what the Stepping Stone platform does for us as far as boot camps is concerned, so that we can be more effective parents. Don't go anywhere. This is Issues at Hand. You are there and you're wondering, what are you watching on Church of Uganda Family TV? You are watching Issues at Hand, and we are talking about effective ways of parenting when it comes to parenting our children now that they are at home for the holidays. And we are having very hot discussions on how we should be respectful as parents, about how we should be authoritative, how we should have a continual relationship with our children, and how we should find a way of respecting them and not having bias when it comes to our children. These are very interesting topics that we are covering. Once again, if you want to get in touch with us, send us a WhatsApp message on our WhatsApp number, that's 0787 447 684. Now, my guest for today is Dr. Hanifa Namala Sengendo, and she is the CEO of a wonderful organization called Stepping Stone Platform. She's also a pediatrician, and she is a teen health expert, and we are talking about effective parenting. Now, before we go, I would like you to tell us about the boot camp for those of us parents who like to unlearn and learn. But very quickly, before we go into the boot camp, maybe you can finish the point on beating. If beating is still a method we should use,
you are going back to it.
Our children.
I should first of all confess that I was a culprit of beating. You remember what my son told me, the mother of our age is not the same mother now. I think the issue is the catch-22. But for me, I have trained myself not to beat. I have actually learned not to beat. I use other authoritative measures, and I really mean what I say. Because let me tell you, this is my home. There is a day I told myself, this is my home. You should follow my rules. When you go to your home, when you grow up, there are those things you will follow. But this is my what? This is my home. And children should know that this is actually our home where we have rules and regulations. Having said that, yes, because now children are even watching certain things, I would be coaching the parents, but there are some other tricks that parents can use. You know, sometimes I can give a cold reception. A cold reception, you understand?
A cold shoulder.
A cold shoulder,
yes.
That you know I am not happy with you. You know that one also pains.
It hurts.
It hurts, really. It hurts. And I intend it, and I'm like, she comes and says, Mommy, should I bring you to? I'm like, no, let's so and so bring it. It looks simple, but it hurts them. It
hurts children.
And all these other things. But also, as I said, children sometimes get tired of us. Because you know you've been with a child. Now as mothers, hey, you first be in the kitchen, they haven't washed things. You go to the bedroom, then you see this. So that's why I said you need other people to mentor your children. And that's where the stepping stone platform strength comes in. You need other people to talk to your children so that they get the other perspective, why certain things are happening. And that's the importance of my parenting sessions, that I teach parents, how can you get other people to mentor and coach your child. Sometimes you are so high, you are like, you call and say, so and so, my child, what can we do? Then we give that sort of a mediation, but not really like, you know. So what I mean is that, yes, for me, I have learned not to beat. Somehow I've learned it. I don't know what happens in schools. That's a different thing. Schools have their own. But in my own home, I have learned not to. I went on reducing slowly.
And on the subject of learning, what in the boot camps do we as parents learn?
Okay, now these boot camps are for parents and students. But this holiday, I am handling students. We have boot camps that we have organized for any teenager above 8 years. If you are a parent or you have a parent, a person you know who has a child above 8 years, please, we have organized the boot camps. And like you see our flyer, we are going to talk health. We are going to talk about the common things that are now happening in schools. First of all, we are going to discuss based on the age. Children between 8 to 12 years, they have a lot of growth challenges. So we are going to discuss how is your body growing. When it grows, what does it mean? We are discussing things that particularly affect girls and then boys. Girls have a lot of questions in menstruation. They are trying to understand, they have all these needs. We are going to discuss them. Boys also have their own questions. What does it mean to be, how do I know I'm a real man? You know there are myths and people are lying them that you know to be a man, you must have a girlfriend. To be a man, you must do this and this. We are talking about substance abuse. Do you know drugs are almost an epidemic? You say epidemic like COVID. Drugs.
In schools especially. In
schools. Even in our own homes. Don't even just blame schools. They are learning drugs from your own home. You go home, you have closed your chikomera, your fence. They have the border people. They have people who throw the what? The drugs. Okay? So, it is an issue of really being intentional in parenting. That's why, if you are a parent who has a child, a teenager, please bring them. And I said we don't teach sex education. We teach sexuality, the body. The child should know, how is my brain changing? What is the meaning of having a productive relationship? And for the older ones, those are in S5, S6, anybody, any child above 16 years, we are going to put a lot of strength in career coaching, not just guidance. You see what happens because schools have a compacted curriculum. They bring a person one day and is talking to, but now coaching means we are going to get people who will have a continuous discussion with these students, so that as the child is having a challenge with their body, you are also talking about their career. They will feel you are actually more comprehensive and holistic than just talking about books, because they have overarching, they have issues that are affecting them. We are also teaching about life skills. So the boot camps begin on the 16th of August, that is next Tuesday. If you need any information about these students' holiday boot camps, you can reach us on 0772 75 0708 or 0701 75 0708 for any information. And believe me or not, I'm also a parent, so I know how to handle the children, but I'm also an expert in teen health. As a pediatrician, I have picked particular interest in talking, coaching, and mentoring adolescents and young people. We shall also have an opportunity of private consultation. You know, some of these children, they don't want to talk to, even my own children, they may not want to talk to me about things that are so private. You know, the previous boot camps, we had children who had been raped by their own fathers, by the way. Their own fathers, you know, that COVID holiday. And the child could not tell the mother because she was avoiding what? Conflict. So we have such scenarios. We have children who have been sexually abused by their own peers. You know, sexual abuse can now be e-sexual abuse. There was a particular girl I'll never forget. They were on a WhatsApp group, a study WhatsApp group. And then the fellow boys started saying, show me your eyes, show me your ears. Then they went down, show me your breasts, show me your, you know. So they kept like that. Kumbe, they were trying to, you know, to have some sexual satisfaction by looking at some of the body parts of these children. Some of these things parents don't know, but they are really happening.
And that's why it's very important that we have, that we be part of this boot camp, and we ensure that our children are a part of the boot camp as well, so that they can learn on sexual health, and they can learn life skills, and they can be purposeful about their careers. And that is one way of us as parents being intentional about raising our children.
Yes, yes.
Now we have received your questions and comments, and I will start with Ronnie Cheyune in Entebbe, who says, hello Family TV. Doctor, can a single parent effectively raise a child? These days some of us are single fathers, and we are already grooming girls.
Okay. That's a tricky one. That very question, actually. I think I had some discussion. I can't remember. I was hosted somewhere else and the same question came up. But my simple response was, first of all, you are already a single parent. So do what you are supposed to do. Because even if you are a father, first of all, there is the father authority. But also, we need to go back to some old practices. You get your sister or your aunt. Yes, I totally appreciate nowadays us aunties are also strangers to our own nieces and, you know.
Which is a very sad...
Which is a very sad way. But also, you can get people. That's why I talked of insurance. Get other people who can coach and mentor your children. But remember, the mentor like me, Dr. Hanifa, I don't do it every day. It means you as a father, find someone whom you trust. It can be your female friend, maybe your workmate, someone whom you think is mature, a female, to mentor your female child. But you may need some professional help from us. You know, if you are a mother, a single mother, probably this boy is having a lot of questions. You may get professional help from, for example, us, the stepping stone, but also you may get your other uncle. But you remember, these children trust peers so much. So you can get a groomed up child who is maybe already at a certain level, and they come and talk to your child. But since you're already a single parent, you have to remain with authority as a parent. Yeah.
Definitely. And now there's a hot question here, hotter than even this one. I hope you'll be able to address it adequately. This is from Johnson, who is saying that he has a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. And now he has come out to say that they are shy with me, yet I feel this is the right time to introduce to them sex roles. How best can I approach this?
Okay, wow. This one actually requires, first of all, this one I'll be grateful if I can have a one-on-one session with you, because we do have that. But in a nutshell, first of all, let me first tell you that scientifically, it is okay and very normal for the child to feel shy. 13 years and 15 years, you remember when I was talking about the parts of the brain? This is when they first of all, they are so much interested into their bodies. So they selfishly like their bodies, and it is normal. It is that part of the brain that is telling them you are beautiful. This is the time they start stealing your perfume. The other day I was looking for my perfume. I kept looking for it. My 15-year-old girl had actually taken it. I looked everywhere and she was there. She wasn't saying, until I still went into her room. I found my perfume there. You know? So this is the time when children, it is okay to be shy. Because you are a parent. That's why the continual relationship comes in. You should begin having the relationship when your child is still young. By the time of 5 years, you should already be talking to your child about the bad touches, for example, such that when they reach 13, you can be discussing as a man, what does it mean when I wake up when I'm erect, or when I have had a dream, or for a child when I have had my period. We have fathers who buy pads for their children. It is not abnormal. You buy me food, you can buy me pads. Because you are my dad. You can buy me, like you buy me a hanky to remove the sweat, you can buy me pads. I see my husband buying pads for his daughters, and it's not any offense. But that comes when you have had a what? A relationship. And these are some of the things we teach our girls in the boot camps. That it is okay. We actually teach them which people do you talk to when you have private issues. If your mother is not in the home, some girls like, or they have a more intense relationship, a normal relationship with their parents. It is okay for my daughter to tell her father that, Daddy, please get me some pads, or get me some panties. Like they can say, get me a toothbrush. You know, we should make it okay, because now that is you, the parent, to create it. Because the child is shy, then it is you to, you can even say, you can just buy the pads and say, maybe Sarah, you will use these. Then she's there, she's saying, Daddy knows that I'm actually getting into menstruation. She keeps wondering. Then you will start a discussion slowly. Are the pads over, or I bring more pads? Then you can say, let me refer you probably to Stepping Stone. You discuss menstruation, or you discuss girl issues, because certain things you don't know them. Or even me as a mother, there are certain things I actually coach my husband. I tell him, this thing is like this and this. I bring in the Lusawa bit. Then he goes there and he's explaining in a, So that's why I say, in a knowledgeable manner. So the issue is, yes, it is not easy, but try your best. You know, sometimes it's not easy to learn new apps. Here, it is not easy. But don't you navigate?
You do.
You navigate. Then it tells you wrong word. Then you change passwords. Change your passwords.
Change our password.
Change your password as you learn and learn.
Fantastic. Doctor, in 1 minute, what's your final remark on effective parenting, especially during holidays?
During holidays, effective parenting is about you being intentional. Seek for professional expertise. I am here at the Stepping Stone. We have organized Some of the other program that is also run at Church of Uganda Family TV is the Health Pot. So you can tune in to Health Pot because we shall continue the discussion there. But my appeal is that please come and attend those boot camps. I mean, allow your children to attend. My number is 772 750 708. 750 708. Airtel 0701 750 708. And you can also look for other people who are actually having professional expertise in teenage health. The teenagers are the major problems now, if I may use, but let's say the teenagers are the ones that are complex. Probably they are not problems. So if you want personal consultation with me, please call the same number, 772 750 708. I would also like to thank my kids because I told them, please listen in and learn. So I'll go back and check. Have you learned anything from my talk? Yes.
We shall know. We'll get to hear from you whether they have learned. But certainly here I have learned, and I am sure all of us have learned here on Issues at Hand how to be effective parents to our children during holidays, but not just during holidays, throughout our lifetime. A word to a wise is enough. You've had it. You have no excuses. In fact, if you are looking for help, you know now that Dr. Hanifa and the Stepping Stone platform can help when it comes to instilling instruction and discipline and skills and knowledge to us and to our children, so that we can raise good and nurture wonderful children who will add to the society positively. Thank you for coming here, Dr. Hanifa, on Issues at Hand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, our
Thank you.
viewers.
They can check our social media handles, Stepping Stone platform. They will find Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And thank you, our viewers, for keeping in touch with us and for being with us this entire hour on Issues at Hand. We are going to continue to have more wonderful discussions on Issues at Hand on Friday, but keep it locked here on Church of Uganda Family TV. God richly bless you.